let's go around the NFL, and we begin with some big NFL news. Blake, I don't know if you saw this.
Trevor?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence. Are we calling him by one name? Is that has he reached that?
I have no idea why I said it like that, because nobody calls him Trevor. T-Law, Lawrence.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know.
Sunshine.
Yeah, that's fair. There's a lot more things that
Probably
we
the
call him.
last thing I should have said was Trevor.
The only Trevor I think of that's not Trevor Lawrence is the guy you play as in GTA 5. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, that was what came to
Not
my
where
mind
I
first.
went to either, although that's fair. Okay. Well, Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback for the Jaguars, will be the quarterback for the Jaguars a lot longer. He agreed today to a 5-year, get this, $275 million deal. Average annual value clearly there is $55 million. So the contract includes $200 million guaranteed with $142 million at signing. Lawrence received a $37.5 million signing bonus as well. So when it comes to average annual value, it ties Lawrence with Joe Burrow from the Cincinnati Bengals for the highest when we talk about average annual value. He becomes the 6th quarterback to have an AAV above $50 million. Other guys that we're talking about here, Jared Goff of the Lions, Justin Herbert of the Chargers, Lamar Jackson of the Ravens, Jalen Hurts of the Eagles. And so big time money goes there. I was checking some of the other situations. We talked about the average annual value. However, when it comes to percentage of the cap, which I think is a way that we need to start talking about quarterbacks, he comes in 10th here. I mean, immediately behind Dak Prescott. So Dak Prescott already got a higher percentage of the cap when he signed his last deal than what Trevor Lawrence got here, 21.5% of the cap for Trevor Lawrence. First of all, this seems like a big number. Do you think that this affects the way that Dak Prescott is going to go about getting his money?
Yeah, Dak's definitely going to want to top that. So Dak is a happy man when he saw that, because Trevor Lawrence, all-time record, I had to look it up because I was like, it can't be great. 21-31. He obviously has the playoff game that we know about, and the comeback or lack thereof and against the Chargers. But I'm going to be honest, Reg. I want to get into Dak real quick. Don't get me wrong. But I do not regard Trevor Lawrence that high, personally. I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's like a bottom tier quarterback, but I have him nowhere close to my top.
What tier? Because I know that sometimes we'll go what number, and that gets a little dicey. But if we're going to tier him off, how are you kind of situated in the quarterback landscape in your mind?
He's definitely in the tier 3 to 4. Okay. That's Blake's personal. I know people have different
tier
takes
to 3 to 4. Well, I'm interested. What do your tiers look like? Tier 1. Are you doing the thing where tier 1 is just Patrick Mahomes and then we move along, or what are you doing here?
No, even if I definitely could do that, and I usually do. But even if you have the top 5, the Mahomes, the Lamar Jacksons, the Josh Allens of the world in tier 1, I think there's been the tier 2s with the Staffords and the Daks and the Jared Goffs, and then the tier 3s with some of these young guys, the Jordan Loves that have stepped up. I think he's back of 3.
Really affected by this past season where there was a real backsliding in offense for them.
Yeah, this last season, and then even the years before, who's putting up pretty stats. I think I saw he's 4th on the team all time in passing yards with 11,770 and passing touchdowns with 58. He's cool. He's just he was very very highly regarded coming out of high school and coming out of college. Put up great stats. #1 overall pick in 2021. Funny enough, the 5 quarterbacks that were drafted in 2021, Zach Wilson, #2, traded obviously to the Broncos. #3, Trey Lance, traded to the Cowboys. #11, Justin Fields, traded to the Steelers. #15, Mac Jones, traded to the Jags. So he's the only one that got money out of that. I do not think he's bad. I think I wouldn't say he's overrated anymore. People don't talk about him that much as they used to, but I don't have him in that high of regard. And if you're Dak, you're like, this is great. A guy that I don't think around the NFL is a consensus top 10 guy. And I think Dak is held in higher regard as far as Trevor Lawrence. At least that's what I would think. So I think Dak is smiling, grinning like, oh, I'm really finna get my money now.
And at the very least, even if he's not held in higher regard, which, I mean, again, you start talking about Dak Prescott, and we get to a real debate that I don't think anybody is going to be satiated on. But one thing about it is he definitely has way more leverage than Trevor Lawrence has or had in this negotiation. He still has a couple more years on his deal, Trevor Lawrence does. So I think that helps smooth kind of the way that this goes for them. But yeah, Dak Prescott has so much leverage. So, I mean, I imagine that 55 average salary is, I mean, you're definitely going to go over that number.
Is that just where we're at now? Is that just where we're at with quarterbacks? It's like,
yeah.
you're good and you are a franchise quarterback and you're better than the average, so we're just going to pay you whatever you want. Like,
I mean, that's when you say where we're at, that's kind of what it's been is once you hit a certain bar, right, a certain level above that. And for a long time, I used to call that the Andy Dalton line, but I don't know what that, I still am looking for what
the
exactly
Baker Mayfield line?
I think some people put that as the Baker Mayfield line. That has been the kind of the play. Although recently we've seen some kind of deviation where maybe, just maybe, that is changing. But the historical play has been, if you're above that line, you just end up being the next. You're next up. You're next up to the.
You're next
table.
up, highest paid. Don't care what your stats are. Anything. Come on to the party. Quarterbacks gotta be feeling good. If you got a son at home, I guess train him to be a quarterback because they make all the money.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. I don't know that this affects it that much, but I think this definitely sets a hard floor on. You're not getting less than that 55 average annual value. No. Like that's. I mean, and I thought that was probably somewhere where you already were.
I got to mention this. Second time it's been shouted out from the 817. Just got home and switched over to the YouTube channel. It means you're a Total Plus member. We very much appreciate you.
Up? That's
a great shirt, Reggie. You're looking fresh. That's 2 compliments I've read personally. I probably have missed a couple on your shirt. Any comment on your shirt?
It's comfortable. I appreciate that you guys enjoy it. That's another reason why you should get on the YouTube and the Twitch. But if not, we always appreciate you guys rocking with us regardless. And before we go, because it is around the NFL and not just around the, hey, this one quarterback got a whole bunch of money, the Netflix documentary series Receiver. We have a date that is set to debut July 10th, featuring Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, and others.
Okay.
And there's already there's a trailer out. They've put a trailer out, so if you're so inclined, go seek that out because that's out there for you. If you enjoyed quarterback, which I think a lot of people did, it really warmed them up to particularly Kirk Cousins, who was a big name. And honestly, Kirk Cousins in the news because the NFL did their review when it came to tampering. Kirk Cousins is Atlanta Falcons, and of course the Atlanta Falcons, because of trying to get Kirk Cousins, they were found guilty, I guess, for lack of better terms, of tampering. They'll lose a 5th-round pick.
Oh, man. How are they going to recover,
And they have a little
Reg?
bit of a fine as well. The Eagles, with their Saquon Barkley pursuit, however, deemed that there was not enough evidence.
I think we need to start taking around 1st-round picks.
So, I mean, look, if there is something to be said, like if you really believe that this is something that is worthwhile, you want to make the punishment something that makes teams not do it.
I think the Falcons could care less.
And particularly, I think, depends on like the caliber of player. When you're talking about a quarterback that you're anticipating starting, although they did draft Michael Penix, so maybe, I don't know. But that level, that 5th-round pick is probably worth it, I would have to imagine.